Good evening, and welcome to Fireside Talks, the ingredients of godly relationships. And this is Elder Pamela Horn of Consuming Fire Ministries coming to you from Haw River, North Carolina. Amen. And our show this evening, we're going to continue from last week, and I've got my co-host, my sister-in-law, Daphne Horn, of course, with us this evening. And we're going to continue talking about and you know what? It was, I'm trying to think of the
main topic.
Yeah, the main topic was toxic
relationships.
Toxic relationships. And we went over one of those toxic relationships, and we're on part 2 right now. And when you can start identifying that you're in a toxic relationship, one way that you can identify that or know that, this relationship is toxic or it's no good for you is poisonous to you, is that they are overly critical. Yeah. Overly critical. You ever been in a relationship where they can be there for you in a crisis situation? In a crisis situation, they're always there. And most of the time when they're there for you in that crisis situation, is to make sure that you stay in a crisis.
Wow.
They will never, ever share your joy. They will never, ever share your joy. I can't describe the relationships in friendships and things that I have been in, the countless number of times where they were never happy for me when something good happened. And it was always deflected off of me and turned into something negative, But they love the crisis. They love to see when I was down.
Yeah.
And, they were there. They were always there, but they were there with the worst advice.
Wow.
So they'll find reasons that your good news isn't great news. Classical situations, if you got promoted, the money isn't that great for the amount of work you'll be doing. Stuff like that. You got a vacation, you're going down to the beach. It's so hot down there. You sure you want to go to the beach?
Wow. So basically, when you were down or when you were going through something in a valley, you got negative support. Yeah, it's almost like another blow.
Yeah.
Did you realize it at the time?
I didn't. And even in some relationships that I have now, I'm finding those signs of toxic relationships. And being, that I didn't realize it back then and allowed it to go on, now I'm having to really catch it by the horns and call it out, basically.
Yeah.
And when I do that, it's like, people get offended when you really call out their mess and really call them to the carpet. They're not used to me doing that. They're not used to me calling it out and calling them on the carpet. And they're used to being able to, say negative things about everything,
Yeah.
the Debbie Downers, the ones that always want to bring you down and make you stay down, and nothing that's ever that happens good or whatever is ever good enough, or they find some fault in it.
And didn't you have like a little jokes inside of you that maybe thought, well, that doesn't sound right. Well, why is so-and-so saying that?
Well, sometimes, when you don't recognize it, a toxic person would do their job by injecting their poison into you, into your system, because if they're toxic and they're injecting their poison and saying things to bring you down, saying things negative, then you start agreeing with them, and that's the whole point. The whole point of a person that's toxic.
See.
Yeah, it's just like a person that shifts your atmosphere, or is able to shift the atmosphere in whether it's negative or positive. A person that can change the atmosphere. A toxic person can change your atmosphere. For the negative. They can do that just as well as a person can change the atmosphere for the better. Shifters, you never experience, being up and being happy about something, and then you share it with a friend, and then they make you feel like, okay, Daphne, I just I don't know about that, and I don't want to,
basically they steal my joy, bust my bubble.
Yeah, bust your bubble. And and I mean it works sometimes. It really does. It works. And for a person, especially a person that struggles with self-esteem, or a person that struggles with depression, they'll keep you depressed. And yeah. So nothing's ever good. Nothing's ever but as soon as they have, something happen in their life, everything is lovely. Because of course, for a toxic person, the world revolves around them. So if it's not their news, then it ain't all that, if you get a house or you get a car, there's something wrong with that, oh, you shouldn't have gotten a so-and-so because it has problems with the emissions, or it has problems with this, or it's a gas guzzler, or it's always something negative. It can't be, oh, that's nice, I really like that, or the color, oh God, you're gonna have trouble keeping that car clean, that that shows all the dirt, that type of thing. It doesn't, and then you start feeling bad about your decisions, doubting yourself.
Yeah.
So they're always criticizing, just critical of everything. They could criticize the school that you pick for your child, criticize the husband.
Well, criticize your child.
Criticize your child, yeah, that too. And that's like, I've never understood how people can be so bold. And some people can say things that you would never dream of saying to anybody. And me, myself, there are just some things that would not come out of my mouth to another person. And I'm like, how do they, get up the nerve to say these things? And then it's like, being, the person that I was, I would never really call them out on it. But I look back on it, I'm like, they got some, they got some nerve
Yes.
to say the things that they say. And if you had said anything close to what they had, the things that they had said to you, then you'd be the devil. You know what I'm
You might
saying?
just have to be.
You'd be the devil to them, you know what I'm saying? And but they don't
And
see
probably
themselves.
because they didn't expect for you to say anything, like you said.
Right. And have you ever had someone that can never give you a compliment, or the compliment comes with, you know, oh, like you're feeling good about yourself. Oh yeah, you look nice today. That's the compliment part, right? I'm glad to see that you're not walking around here looking like, you know, somebody's mama anymore.
Mm.
You know, that type of thing. And then it just completely brings you right back down. Because then you feel like, oh, that's how they feel about me. You know, that's how they see
I
me.
think that's
you
the
know,
enemy
that's how
too.
they view me. You know,
So we can't go ahead and equate or say that, you know, the people that knows how to distribute or dispel their toxicity, if that's a word, they're real cunning. I like
cunning.
real
Exactly.
clever, like Anthony.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, you don't, I mean, these are things that you don't see, you know, and then when God shows you and gives you those discerning spirits, you know, he'll give you those warning signs of this person is not good for you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard sometimes when you're vested in a friendship, or you're vested in a relationship with a person, and you don't want to admit that this person is toxic and this person is no good
I was
for
going
you.
to say the person is no good.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you took the words right out of my mouth.
You know, it's hard sometimes, you know, to admit that, because you don't want to see the person as being harmful to you, or toxic, or poisonous, or, you know, anything like that. You don't want to see that. You don't want to see that the things that they are doing are malicious, you know, devious. You don't want to see that, because you want to believe that this person loves you as much as you love them. You want to feel like the person has your back, like you have their back. And you don't want, you're in denial. A lot of times you're in denial. But if you don't get a hold of it, this toxic person will hold you back and keep you from moving forward, and keep you from moving in, you know, the direction that God has for you to go.
Yeah. And I will say, I had a good friend. I mean, I had to stop talking to her. Probably before I moved to North Carolina, because she had a couple of failed marriages, I think. And I was now getting into another relationship. And it just seemed like she was being real toxic, now that I think about it. And I really enjoyed her friendship.
Down there and you ain't got no ring on, you know, that type of thing.
Yes.
You're not married to him yet, and you're in the process of planning your wedding and going into new territory, you know. And I understand that, you know, you were coming to another state, you were switching jobs in another, you know, system that you weren't used to. You were going to be around his family that you weren't, you know, used to.
But it wasn't even that conversation. Like, it wasn't that, but I hear what you're saying.
But they're telling you that, you know.
Well, she had some other things to say, you know, when I was sharing like good news.
Yeah.
You know, or getting into this new relationship or what have you. And I just felt like, you know what? I'm gonna have to stop talking to her. And see,
Mhm.
I'm not one, I'll listen for so long, but when I feel like it's time to go, it's time to go.
Yeah, and then some people like that's toxic, once they give you that toxic advice and you don't take it or you don't share their opinion, they can't take it. They always want to be right, and they always it's that, like you were saying, controlling, that controlling person, like the one that we talked about. Every time you disagree with them, they get that spirit of offense. They get offended because they can't control your thoughts.
Yeah.
And they can't control, your opinions.
Right.
If you don't agree with them, it's like, okay,
And an opinion,
Daphne has grown up.
And an opinion is just what it is. It's just how it's my thoughts. I'm not saying that yours is wrong. Hopefully you don't see mine as wrong because I don't see like you see.
Exactly. But if you're in a toxic relationship, they want you to see like they see because they're injecting their poison, into you. And if the poison is not working, it's just like, when in the Bible, when Paul was shipwrecked and he got, bitten by the viper, out of the fire, they were watching, it was standing back watching, watching him and waiting for him to swell up and die, basically, because the viper had jumped out the fire and latched onto his hand and bit him. So when that toxic person injects their poison into you and you don't swell up and die, your opinions don't swell up and die, right. Or they can't take it because that they haven't done their job. Yeah. If you ever feel like you can't do anything right when you're around a particular person, or have you ever felt that way in the past? It's like, nothing's ever good enough. I had, when I growing up, I didn't get into, certain fashion trends and things of that nature. So I always had a friend that was always telling me, about the things that I wore. That was advice. That was, oh, you would look nice with this, that, and the other. But it wasn't to the point where if I disagreed, because I like certain things that she didn't like. But if I disagreed with her, yeah, she might get upset because she thought, she was right or whatever. And she might have been right. But for me, it wasn't, it wasn't comfortable.
Right.
Certain things that I wasn't comfortable with.
Right.
So a real friend, like she was, understood that and understood, well, this is just her. This is just her. And her attempts to enlighten me, into, some of it, rubbed off or whatever eventually, but some of it didn't. But it wasn't to a point where, oh, well, she's not taking my advice, I can't have anything else to do with it, what I'm saying? No. So that's a toxic person. A toxic person is like, okay, if they can't
pull the strings.
Exactly. Pull your strings. If they can't pull your strings and you dance like a puppet on that string, it's over. They can't control you. And then they do things that will, try to manipulate your emotions into doing things their way. You know what I'm saying? Because they can't get their way, they'll try another route, try to manipulate you into feeling like, okay, yeah, let me listen to her. Let me make her happy,
Wow. Mm,
They're never satisfied.
mm,
They're never satisfied. They have to find the negative in every situation. Um, they're quick to point out what they don't like about each person that comes up in the conversation.
yeah, I was gonna say the friend that I was talking about a few minutes ago. She, of course, had lots of friends. We all went to, school together, college together,
Hmm.
and I met, like I said, some friends through her that became kind of like my associates.
Hmm.
But I felt like she was the mouth, like I don't know, like she liked to kind of gossip.
Gossip.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So that was kind of part of it too, just wanting to know the latest with what's
Mhm.
going on with this person and
Yeah.
what's going on with that person. She's kind of like the nucleus.
Yes, and then if you don't agree with with what they say about somebody else, then you know they get upset about that too.
Mm.
They try to sway your opinions, sway your opinions about people, and
I've learned to listen.
dictate who else, whoever else you would hang around with, because they want to be the center of attention in the friendship too. So if they're not the center of attention, something's always wrong with somebody else, with everybody but them. They don't hesitate to speak critical
Right.
of you. They don't hesitate to talk about your family. They don't hesitate to talk about anybody, and they don't hesitate to talk about the decisions that you make. They don't even like the way you sip your coffee. Something's wrong with that. You're slurping. Whatever. Everything is just negative. They find fault in everything.
Wow.
And it's like, nitpicking. They nitpick and nitpick, until they pick you apart and build you into something that, they want to see. You know what I'm saying? But have you ever just been around somebody where it just makes you sick? Eventually, just their presence, their presence weighs on you, and it's like, you start you feeling like you're a little nauseated, you're having a headache or whatever. It's because the person is toxic, and you can't deal with them for so long, because it starts weighing on you, it starts pulling on you, their toxic attitude about everything. Because I can't. I don't like being around negativity, and for the most part, anyone would start feeling a little, unless they like drama.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, that's kind of what this is too. It reminds me of that. I certainly don't like being around negativity, negative energy, hater. Like this to me is hateration.
Yeah, and then you have people that they're always starting stuff. They're always starting stuff, and a lot of times it's the smallest person in the bunch, and you're like, oh, they're gonna get us beat down. They know,
yeah,
they know good and well they can't fight, that type of thing. But they always start mess, and then it's like you got to have their back, and they're always wrong. They're always wrong because it's, their mouth is getting them in getting you and them in trouble. But people like that, and for some reason, when that type of person starts something, it's always the friend that gets hurt. Yeah, it ain't never them. They'll start the mess and go ahead on and get you beat down, that type of thing.
Or get you tangled up in
stuff. Get your name tangled up and stuff. You ain't said a thing. You just, there.
Yeah.
And everything that came out negative, they go and repeat to somebody else, but it's something they said,
Right.
But people be, upset with you, thinking you're talking about them, and it's this person, This is, it's what it's like to have a relationship with a person that's just so overly critical of everything. It's nothing wrong with having an opinion. Your opinions are great. But if you are so absorbed in this environment for a long time, it can wear on your soul. It can really affect you in negative ways. Just like I said, you start getting sick. You're sick, from being around these toxic people. It can really wear you down. It can affect your health.
Yeah. When you said sick, I was thinking of like physically sick too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can affect your health. Blood pressure can go up just being in the presence of certain people. Your blood pressure can go up, and that's not good for your heart. It's not good for your head. Anything, you can start getting migraines and all kinds of stuff because of the person that the presence of the person, the toxic presence. And after a while, it's like, man, you start ignoring their phone calls because you don't want to. Oh God, I don't want to hear it today. I can't. I don't want to hear it today. That type of thing. So when you start avoiding people and just their conversation, it's going to turn into something negative and it's going to bring you down, and you want to keep your good mood. That person is toxic.
Yeah.
And you have to you got to cut it loose. You got to let it go. And, it's hard because you love people. But when they're toxic to you, they're no good.
Not a help at all.
It's no good to you. We're called to love everyone. But in order, to remain healthy and keep our health, when it comes to those that we're closest with, we need people who are encouraging and they're life-giving and good to be around. You have to surround yourself with positive people
that uplift you, that encourage you.
Yes, uplift and encourage.
Pray with you. That want to see you do good.
There's not the people that's always drawing on you or always depending, just always sucking the life out of you. They're it's like vampires. They need your blood. They live off of your blood, you know what I'm saying? And they suck you dry, and then where are you left with? You're dead. They sucked you dry, but they're living in off of your blood, basically, that they've sucked you out of. And these type of people, they're toxic. That's toxic like that. They thrive on shooting that venom into your veins, and they thrive on you not being happy or healthy, because it makes them feel better about themselves.
That's so true. And it happens just in friendly relationships or relationships you have with friends, romantic relationship or significant other, and even family, believe it or not.
Yeah. Toxic. And you can have friends that are always rivals.
Yeah.
They're always, or family members is always rivals.
Always trying to outdo each other.
Outdo each other, trying to outdo you. And, they won't, won't come around to celebrate your successes and celebrate, the things that you've accomplished and all of that stuff because they can't stand it. But as soon as something happens in their life, it's like,
They
you
want all eyes on
they
them.
want all eyes, they want the red carpet, they want, everything. But when it comes to you, let's go on. We're gonna get into, and we'll probably have to finish this up next week, but we're gonna touch on it. Number 3 is you feel like you're always walking around on eggshells when you're around this person. You're always on eggshells. And it has to do with them being so critical. They criticize everything you do. So you're always walking on eggshells. You're always feeling like, okay, is my necklace okay? It's my earrings, it's my makeup, because this person's going to find fault in everything about you. It can be stressful when you're around a person and you're around somebody who is always one incident or one comment away from blowing up or overreacting or something like that. It's like, okay, if I say anything, this person is gonna blow up, because I know they're not gonna agree with it. It's gonna be something negative they're gonna have to say, or one moment they're friendly and the moment that they're angry, or one moment they like you and the next it feels like they hate you. You just can't predict how the person is going to react the next time you interact with them. So you're walking around on eggshells because you don't want to offend them, because you don't know what's going to set them off. You don't know what's going to set them off. It gets really tiring. It puts a strain on you really fast when you got a relationship with a person like that. Because when you feel like you have to walk around on eggshells around someone, doing your best not to upset them, it makes you less likely to want to be around them. Like I said, you start avoiding their phone calls, you start avoiding, being around them. And it's hard to be yourself around a person like that.
You compromise who you really are, your feelings, if you're having to make sure that person's feeling, comfortable.
And I did this a lot growing up around certain people. It was like I always shrunk in the background because I knew that they had to be the one in the spotlight. They had to be the one with the attention, and they did. They always got the attention, and they commanded or demanded that attention. And it's like, as soon as something as simple as someone taking the time out to do my hair and make me feel good about myself, or
special.
make me feel special. I remember someone did my hair, and I was like, oh, I thought it was so pretty, and they had, and I was a little girl, and they had curled my little pigtails or whatever, and put some bows on the end of it or whatever. And I was like, oh, I just felt so good about myself. And they had something negative to say.
That's so sad.
She, and it brought me down, and it made me feel. Amen. 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 So I think that is gonna be the conclusion of our show for this week. We're going to get back into the toxic relationship when we come back on Sunday next week. So tune in every Sunday at 7 p.m. between the 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. hour for Fireside Talks, the ingredients of godly relationships. You can purchase my book, Daughters of the King, Stop Kissing Frogs, on Amazon.com. To partner with us or partner with Consuming Fire Ministries, Cash App your donation to $Pam Horn, or support Consuming Fire Ministries by checking us out on our website at consumingfirebooks.weebly.com. Also, you can check out our YouTube channel, Fireside Talks. And until next Sunday, as always, blessings and peace.